Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope everybody has a great Christmas time, to relax, take it easy, you know, maybe learn some things or just spend some time with your family and recuperate and things like that. So, I have some new things that I discovered here with the haplogroups, and I wanted to share them. And let me see if I can go ahead and share that. Okay. Oh, not this one. I got to go here. Okay, so this is, everybody should be familiar with this map by now. It's the world map. What's this thing doing here? It's the world map of Y-DNA haplogroups. Wait a minute. I got to see if I can get rid of this thing in the way here. I don't know if it's in the way, but let me see. I can find which it is. Anyway, where am I now? Wait a minute. Let's see what's going on with this. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that's better. Anyways, sorry for the delay. So yeah, this is the world map of the Y DNA haplogroups. It's very, very interesting. We have three groups right here. We can see three groups right here. And we can see it in other places too, but it's A, B, C, D, and E is one group. F, G, H, I, and J is another group. K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and T is another group. So this is the Hamitic group, the Semitic group, and the Japhethite group, as simple as that. But then they want you to believe, they want us to believe another narrative that is what they call the out of Africa belief, which is total nonsense. And if they had only gone to known civilizations, known human history, they would have been so much farther down the road in their understanding of the human haplogroups. So we're going to try to get back on track as to what the human haplogroups are. And like I said, they're right here, right in front of us. And if I have to, I'll come back and refer to this map. So we have in the Bible, we have what's called the Table of Nations. We have Noah, Japheth, Ham, and Shem. It's not complicated. Japheth had 7 sons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sons. Ham had 4 sons. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Where's 4? 4, Put. He's the father of the North Africans. Shem had 5, Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. Aram, of course, the father of the Arameans, Lud, the Lydians, Arpachshad, the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Eber, Peleg, and Joktan. Of course, here's Abraham down here, Abram. Asher, the father of the Assyrians. Elam, of course, is the father of the Elamites. These are all Semitic ancient civilizations. Elam, Asher, Israel, of course, Peleg, Joktan, lots, lots and lots of what would be called otherwise as Arabic people, even even if they're not from Abraham. Some of the sons of Abraham are Arabic. Abraham had 7 sons, other than Isaac, and the Lydians are a known ancient civilization. Arameans are a known ancient civilization. Canaan is a known ancient civilization. The North African, what was originally called the Phoenicians, known civilization. Just ask Josephus about that. Mitzrayim, of course, is Egypt, with these tribes, the Captarim, the Lehabim, and the Ludim, which is the father of Lydia. I mean, not Lydia, Libya. Libya and these tribes, the Captarim, became the Philistines. And we have Cush, the father of Nimrod. Nimrod and the other sons that went to Africa. And Nimrod, of course, never went to Africa, along with one of his, either a brother or a son, never went to Africa as well, the DY chromosome. But known civilizations, Cush is known, Egypt is known, Canaan is known, the North Africans are known civilizations. Japheth, also Gomer in Europe is known. Magog went north and then east is known. Madai of the Medes is known. Javan, the Greek Javan, is known. Tubal settled in Italy. Meshech went north and straight north and stayed north. Tiraz of the Thracians, known civilizations, Thracians, Greek Thracians, Greek Javans, Tubal in Italy, Meshech all the way up in the Arctic or Siberia, went all the way north and still there to this day. Magog went north and east. The largest haplogroup in the world is Magog, and it includes the Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, and South Asians. Madai is the father of the Medes, the QY chromosome. Went all the way to America. Gomer, of course, the father of Ashkenaz, the R1A, Riphath, R1B, Togarma, R2. But all these nations are known civilizations, and they're the only ancient civilizations that ever existed. Um, our friends, our skeptics, our skeptic friends have trouble accepting this simple, straightforward fact, and they, because they never had an education, is what the problem is. So I'm talking like I'm talking to a brick wall to these people, and they're just not getting it. And so I have to conclude they never had an education, because look at here. This is all known civilizations. Of course, we got Shem, Ham, and Japheth here, descendants of Mitzrayim, grandson of Noah. Mitzrayim here. Okay, this is of course, Put, Mitzrayim, and Cush, and Canaan. Okay, the Captarin Philistines are not really Canaanites. They came from this Isle of Crete over here, or Captarim, that was originally settled by one of the sons of Mitzrayim, which these are the sons of Mitzrayim right here. I guess it's not opening up here. Yeah, this map doesn't open up. It's not, apparently, I don't know what's going on. Full screen. That's about it, I guess. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. Okay, so we have the Greek Sea people, Javan. You can see here his sons, Tarshish. Of course, there was a Tarshish up here too, as well. So I guess the people here went over here. The Tarshish from here went over there or something. We have the island of Rhodes, Dodanim, Elisha, Kittim, in the Isle of Cyprus. And this is the Isle of Crete, of course. And then there's Tiraz, is the progenitor or the father of the Thracians. The Thracians are also Greek. Basically, Javan is more of the sea people, Greek, and the Thracians are more of the mainland Greeks. And of course, later on there was mixing. So then Tubal went to Italy, from what I understand, and to this day there's 8% of the population in Italy still is a direct descendant of Tubal, which would be the K haplogroup. Now, the way that I was able to assign a haplogroup to each ancient civilization was just a process of elimination, one after the other. So, in other words, we have the Semitic populations. We have Aram here, Asher here, Lud here, the father of Lydians, Elam here, and we also have Arpachshad. Arpachshad, of course, is the father of Sela, Eber, of the Eberus, Peleg, and eventually Abram. Aram is the father of Uz and Hul. And Aram is the father of Joktan, which became these nations down here, basically Arabic. But it's this would be F. They would have F to this day. And otherwise, they would have J1 or J2, which would be from Arpachshad. Asher is the G. I determined early on that Asher was the G. Wasn't sure about some of these, but then I was able to assign them. Elam was easy because it was already assigned. The Elamo-Dravidians. The Dravidians have an H. Semitic paternal Y chromosome, so that was basically the easiest one besides Cush, because Cush is the father of Cushites, obviously. Mitzrayim is the father of the Egyptians, obviously. Put, the father of the North Africans, obviously. Canaan, the father of the Canaanites, obviously. So then, yeah. This map is interesting here if you wanted to study. Of course, if you want to close up on the land of Canaan, you have the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, the Architites, Sidon, Hivitites, Jebusites, Amorites. These are all Canaanites, right? Not to be confused with the Arameans and the Girgashites. Amorites, Girgashites, Hivitites, Jebusites, Amorites. Okay. Because here you see Aram. Aram is the father of Hol and Uz. It's not the same. And Gether. So we have everybody here. Basically, we already went over all of them. 5 sons of Shem, 4 sons of Ham, 7 sons of Japheth. Of course, Gomer, the father of Ashkenaz, they went up here. And Riphath Ripfath eventually went into southern Europe. Togarma stayed in this area, mostly went east, and probably went, it's very common for example, Madai of Media. You can even see Media, maybe. I don't know if you can see that, but Madai of Media went both ways. Tubal, the KY chromosome, went both ways. Of course, Gomer, Ashkenaz, Ashkenaz went into Europe, Northern Europe, also went to India. So there's a lot of going multiple directions with the same paternal haplogroup. So you can expect it to go either way. And Madai is known to have been in Europe, and the QY chromosome is still in Europe, in the area of Madai. They have the the QY chromosome is like I said, in Europe, and it went all the way to America, but they have an association with. They were a little bit confused as to what the difference between Madai and Gomer is, so they have them kind of connected together the same way they have Magog and Meshach connected together in the Simmons Genome Project, as we can see in a little bit. This is the same thing, just if you like animals. Here's some animals, but it's the Lulim became Libya, basically, or Libya. Here's Libya. And of course, Egypt, Mitzrayim, Put, Cush, Ophir, Sabteca, Sabteca and Sabta. Basically the same thing, all the same names. Tubal, Gomer, Togarma, Japheth up here, Japheth in Europe, Japheth also in Asia, and Tiraz, again, Tiraz in Greece, Javan, Dodanim, Elisha, Kittim, same stuff, except Meshach went north, and most of the other ones. These are not always very accurate, but they give you an idea, I guess. Sometimes they're fairly accurate. Of course, Elam again, Asher, Eber, Peleg. This one here has Hagar and Keturah. Shows the difference between Sarah, Hagar, and Keturah, which are also the J paternal haplogroup. So basically, and the J, of course, is Semitic, and the J is associated with the I as well. So this is the Simmons 1,000 Genomes Program, mitochondrial phylogeny, the mitochondrial DNA, the maternal line. So we have the three groups here, the L's, its own tree. You can see its own tree. We have the M is in its own tree. We have the N and the R, which is its own tree. So this is the Semitic tree. So apparently, what happened is that Japheth had a lot of sons, 7 sons, but I guess he didn't have as many daughters. And so somehow there seemed to have been more daughters of Shem, or maternal lines of Shem. So much so that it ended up that 95% of Europe is has Semitic mitochondrial DNA. 95%. Very small sliver of M in Europe or any one of these. Of course, this is the L went to Africa, remains exclusively in Africa until later on, of course. And the we have I showed before we have two different lines of the mitochondrial lines of Shem or Shem's wife, actually. So the A, so the A, the O, X, and W are sort of an Asiatic Semitic line. In other words, the Semitic line in Asia. Then from the B and these lines here, these lines are more Middle Eastern and such. But there was a new thing I discovered is that the B, along with the F and the P, for some reason went to Asia. They have them separate here, but they each went to Asia. So these are like three different women apparently with three different maternal lines of the Middle Eastern Semitic mitochondrial family tree or genealogy or lineage. Three of the women went to Asia. And I have a story to tell about that as well. So, of course, I've been over this many times before. This is the Hamitic line. This is the Semitic line of the paternal haplogroups, and of course, the Asiatic line, which is the biggest line of Japheth. So that's the Eurasians, Europe and Asia, Greece, the Arctic, Siberia, and China. These are all what's called Eurasians. That's why they call them Eurasians, because they're all from the same family of Japheth. And that's why there's similarities between all Eurasians as well. And when we get into the Neanderthal and the Denisovans, we can also see that as well. So here's what I was talking about before, the mitochondrial DNA. Notice the H here, the percentage of the H and the U. The H and the U, the J, the T. This is basically this is the Middle Eastern Semitic lines. W would be possibly the other line. Of course, L is the Hamitic mitochondrial DNA. And but you can see the large percentage of Middle Eastern Semitic mitochondrial DNA. And over here in the Y chromosome, the K of tubal to this day is 8%. The other ones, of course, are outsiders. J2 is an outsider, J, I, G, E, and the R1b is Ripvath. Of course, he's from Gomer, descended from Gomer, so he's not tubal. Neither one of these R1bs. So K is still represented in Italy. I always forget to zoom in on it. As you can see, Of course, J2 is basically Judaic, and you can see the percentage of the population of the Judaic population in Italy. I is Israel. Of course, this is J1, J2. Could be either Arabic or Israel. So from here to here, basically 2/3 of the population in Italy, or almost 2/3, not quite 2/3, is Israel and Judah in Italy. The G is Assyria. It's Semitic as well, so that would make a 2/3 Semitic population. And the rest is Eurasian plus the E, which is Hamitic. But we can see this J2 throughout Anatolia, which is Turkey, and Iraq, Iran, all the way to India, down the Silk Road. There's the J2 population. Okay, this is a great map here because it shows a couple of things. This is the strictly Denisovan allele frequency. In other words, people that have DNA similar to Denisovan is highlighted here as to the percentage, of course, with the hot and the cold being outlined. So it turns out, even though the Denisova Cave is way up here, you can see Denisova Cave, the majority of the Denisovan population is all the way down here in Papua New Guinea and parts of Asia. So it turns out that the people that have Denisovan DNA turn out to be either Japhethites and or the Hamitic population. So see, this is not real accurate. You can see the squares are the tested people. So they just, did people tested as to their percentages. Of course, a lot of people were tested here, and it's basically showing where people that don't have either Japhethite DNA or Hamitic DNA, which seems to be what the Denisovan population consisted of, a mix of Japhethite and African. Although we don't get a good idea here of the African population, we do get a good idea of the Semitic areas are cold in regard to the Denisovan allele frequency. Then there's this other interesting thing here in South America, where you have both a descendant of Nimrod, which is Hamitic, and the Q paternal Y chromosome, which is Eurasian as well. So the Q and the C are in America, represented in America. And yet, even so, there's a little cold spot here in Native American Indians that are showing signs of Semitic DNA or less Denisovan DNA. So there's a little cold spot because of the influence of the Semitic population in America, except that we don't have a good representation here in America as well. So what we need is some better information, more information. Of course, there likely trying to obscure or try to obscure what the facts actually are, but we just have to live with it, I guess. So this is the mix of Denisovan and Neanderthal. So again, we have the hot with Neanderthal, which is, and the cold with Denisovan. So in this case over here, it's very cold where the Denisovan DNA is, which is a mix of Hamitic and mix of Japethite and or the Denisovan DNA is a mix of Hamitic DNA and Japethite DNA. Probably the KY chromic, probably tubal. I'm suspecting it'd be tubal, or or an O or something, but or a C or a D, but it's hard to say. In Papua New Guinea, you have the M and the S, and over here the K of tubal. So I believe the M and the S are descended from tubal because of this association with the Denisovan DNA here, which seems to imply that of course, this would be sort of autosomal DNA from the Denisovan DNA, so it'd be the area where the K is, where the M and the S is the area where it's cold. So that's seems to indicate that Denisovans was probably autosomally Japethite and Hamitic, since the area is also autosomally is Hamitic as well. In the South Asia, it tends to be autosomally Hamitic. And for example, in Australia, of course, the CY chromosome is in Western Australia. But again, there's a lack of sampling here, so you really don't know what's here. It's just going from cold to warmer. And the same thing in Africa. You really don't have a sampling here, so it's not showing up what the actual autosomal DNA is. But then again, here, South America, we have like a warming trend here, probably because of the CY chromosome together with the QY chromosome, which is Japethite and Hamitic together, probably made that warm spot there, which is, well, that would be Neanderthal, but yeah, there's something going on there with that anyways, between, of course, this area here is where the CY chromosome is, so maybe the CY chromosome descendants have less Denisovan DNA than the K paternal Y chromosome. Anyways, we need some more information on that as well. Of course, you can still kind of see the lighter area here going up to Europe, up through Europe, as being having less Denisovan and Neanderthal DNA, where a lot of sampling is. And of course, this area is Semitic here as well, highly Semitic. Anyway, we need some more information on that. This one I've been over quite a bit. As to the Y haplogroups that are in the Americas, which are brown, would be the B, the E, the G2, the I1, the I2, the J1, the J2, the T, which is a huge signature, huge population or percentage, and the R1B, which there's more samples of, but it's percentage-wise, it seems to be less somehow. But anyways, so this is Greek, of course. This is actually the sea people. So, and the R1B is Mediterranean. This is Mediterranean. This is Mediterranean. This is Mediterranean. This is Mediterranean, Mediterranean, in all likelihood, as well as Israel and Judah are Mediterranean in the days of King Solomon that had trade associations with the Phoenicians, who apparently went to America, and that's why you have all these Mediterranean paternal haplogroups in America. Anyways, so much for that. So this is the mitochondrial DNA. Now, you might not. It might be. I don't know if this is a good map to show it or not, but there's a group of people on the internet that are saying that the book of Ezra or Ezra's is insisting that Israel migrated down through here, Saudi Arabia, through a place called Qatar here, and they went all the way to the Philippines. They're adamant that Israel went to the Philippines. So I'm looking at this. I didn't see any paternal Y chromosome from the Philippines, right? What's HT? HT is Han Taiwanese. AT is Atlanteans. No, Aborigine Taiwanese. Anyways, so I'm looking here in the Y chromosome. This is mtDNA, but I'm looking for the Y chromosome here, and there's no Semitic Y chromosome in the area. It just doesn't exist. So I'm thinking these guys are crazy, they're just trying to tell a story or for whatever reason, but they're insisting that Israel migrated down around India, down through here, and ended up in the Philippines. So I wasn't able to see that or understand that until I looked at the mitochondrial DNA. That's where it turns out that there is Semitic mitochondrial DNA, but not only Semitic mitochondrial DNA, because there's Asiatic Semitic mitochondrial DNA, as I've explained before, which is the A, this purple color here, A, which is because Madai asked to marry the daughter of Shem. So he took Semitic mitochondrial DNA to Asia. But this B here is from the Middle Eastern Semitic branch. So not only is it the B, but it's the F and the P. So, which is Middle Eastern mitochondrial DNA. So we have the B, the F, and the P, and we can see traces of them in the area of the Philippines, which I have a better map to show it. But of course, the B then apparently even made it all the way to America through the Pacific, because it doesn't seem to have gone this route up here. It seems to have gone straight across from the Pacific all the way to America. And there's a thing with sweet potatoes, in the Polynesians' diet that they could have only gotten from South America or something like that, and maybe some other indications. But anyways, it seems to be the only only the maternal line of the Middle Eastern mitochondrial DNA lineages made it through here all the way to America. The paternal lines apparently didn't make it. If that's the case, if they actually traveled down here through to the Philippines, they're no longer there, at least that I can tell, in the Philippines. But like I said, there is a Middle Eastern Semitic mitochondrial DNA in the area of Asia, actually all of Asia, which is the B, the R color, the F color, which is not this M color, but this darker green color, this darker pea green color, which is the F apparently. And so there, it really doesn't matter one way or another. The Middle Eastern mitochondrial DNA went to Asia. These three groups: the B, the F, the P, which also happens to be in the Philippines as well. Okay, this is the percentages that I wanted to spend some time talking about because I was looking for, because there is a family DNA chart which seemed to have been scrubbed from the search, which shows the percentages of the Iranian DNA. I found this one, but it's maybe even better than the family tree one because it shows different groups of J2 here. But notice how much Judaic paternal haplogroup there is in Iran. And the other one is basically the same thing. Keeping in mind that wherever this Judaic paternal haplogroup goes, there's other people who were Jews along with this Judaic paternal haplogroup that had other haplogroup signatures. For example, Albert Einstein was an E1B1, and he was a Jew. And even Hitler was an E1B1. So even though these are different haplogroups, this is the T from the Javan Sea people. It's possible that some of these people accompanied the Jewish population or the Judaic population that went into Iran, which is, as it stands, with just straight Judaic Y chromosome paternal lineage, you can see it's 1/3 of the population, 1/3 of the entire population, which is the largest, Y chromosome paternal haplogroup in Iran. So if you add to that some of this J1, which is probably Israel, maybe this is, for example, maybe this amount here of J1 is actually Israel because Aaron is a J1. I have to see exactly which one it is or be reminded which one it is, but some of this population of J1 could be Arabic, but it could also be Israel as well, because the Levites or the descendants of Aaron have a J1 paternal lineage. And then when we look closely at this J2 mitochondrial, what am I saying? This J2 paternal lineage, there's other subgroups of J2 here, which is the reason why I'm showing this pie chart here. So we have 8% here of this J2, 20% of this J2. And then you have these pieces here of different J2, which are probably all Judaic, except that what I'm thinking is that this large percentage here of J2 is more than likely the direct descendants of King David. Now, these other Judaic lineages could be from other people, but the percentage of people that are descended from King David and King Solomon, by the way, you would, if you remember, both King David and King Solomon had many wives and concubines, so they're probably the progenitors of this largest population of J2. So this is probably not only Judaic, but it's probably Davidic J2, this M172. Anyway, because a lot of times you don't get this breakdown here, you get J or maybe J1 and J2, and that's about it. But here we have subgroups of J2 here showing the differences here so we can get an idea. Okay, and of course, some of the populations that are associated with the Judaic people from Judah, the tribe of Judah, R, of course, would be R1A, is associated as well as the R2 or R1B, R1B, and maybe R2. I don't know. R2 is Togarma, probably. Maybe not as much R2. But the R1A and the R1B are probably, many of them are associated with the Jewish people. Many of them probably Jews, or autosomally Jewish people as well. So, in other words, there are people that joined Israel and Judah, or Judah in particular. So some of these, with these haplogroups, could be Jews as well, or could have been Jews, way back in the day, whenever they went. And the T is associated with the Judaic people as well as the Q, which is Madai. But Madai is in the area already, but some of this Q population has to be a part of the Jewish population that moved into Iran as well as the J1, whether Arabic or Israel. And the G and the H is Elamites and Assyrians. Some of these G's here could be associated with the Jewish people as well. And it breaks down the Assyrian populations as well. So we could, further, we could learn more things about these divisions, these subgroups of G as well, which is the Assyrian. And the F would be, I guess, be Aramean maybe. probably Aramean. And of course, you have the E1B1 as well, which is what Albert Einstein was. Anyway, now that I went over it all, do a close up here. So, in other words, even though the Judaic population is 1/3 of the population, some of these other groups could be a part of that population that moved into Iran as well. Okay. Now here's an interesting thing here with the. Of course, this is the Mediterranean, right? This is the mitochondrial DNA, the maternal line, the maternal lineage of the X2A in Israel or Galilee. Okay, so now we have to figure out. Remember, I was talking about the Phoenicians and Israel going to the Americas. Well, it looks like the X2A also went to America. And interestingly enough, this is the area of the copper mines where they mined copper in the United States. So it seems to me that the Phoenicians also brought with them the X2A and/or brought it back from America to here, as far as that goes. But the same thing with the Q. The Q is originally from this area here of the paternal line, could have been brought back here as well as going from here to over here as well, or back and forth. So that's an interesting anomaly there, you might say. And again, here's the X here showing the mitochondrial maternal line concentrated in this area here and this area here. Interestingly enough, of Greece too, and the Mediterranean Sea people, and of course in Israel. So either it was taken from here and brought here, or it was taken from here and brought here, or back and forth. And here we have a zoom in as well. So that's more confirmations there. This is again the same maternal. No, this is the paternal line. Yeah, this is the paternal line. Of course, because it's the Q in the Americas as well as the C. You can see the C here. Besides being in Australia here, this is all C2, or this is C4 in Australia, but Polynesia, it's all C2, but in America, this of the Na-Deni tribe, and it goes all the way to South America too as well. But this C in America is a C3, as well as up here is C3. Of course, these are all descendants of Nimrod. That, by the way, never went to Africa, never appeared in Africa, as well as the D, which would be this tan color, which is only here in Tibet and only here in Japan and the Andamanese Islands over here as well as other places here. You can see a little bit here and there. There, it's in this area as well, maybe down here, see. But it's only in Asia. And it would be either a descendant of Nimrod and or just a descendant of Cush as well. So that would be the D. The C, both the C and the D are Hamitic haplogroups. And that's the reason why the Olmec statues look Polynesian, because they have the same ancestor as the Polynesians have, which is Nimrod. Okay, this is the largest haplogroup in the world, the OY chromosome, which is Magog, all the way to New Zealand, Madagascar, and in Asia, of course, Korea, Japan, and South Asia as well. This is the Greek L, not the T, but it's the L, that seemed to have accompanied Alexander the Great when he went to India to ride elephants. So that seems to be what happened there. And of course, now we have the T, which also went to India, seemed to be accompanying Alexander the Great into India, but they also had trade with the Horn of Africa, and there's Greek populations here as well in the Horn of Africa, because the history of the Greek people having trade going back and forth, and so now there's actually more here than there is back in back where it came from, where it originated from. But this is the T, right? This is the T paternal haplogroup, but it's the same sea people that also went to America as well, and that's associated with the Jewish population as well. So here's the evidence of the lost tribes of Israel in the Philippines. So if you hear somebody saying the lost tribes of Israel went to the Philippines, well, we have proof that the maternal lineage is in the Philippines, which would be the B. These two colors are B, these two brown colors, and the F, which is this light brown color and this blue color, dark blue color, as well as the P, which is not here in this chart, but there's a P as well. So there's the B, the F, which is, significant population, looks to me like, because this is the Philippines. So that would be this color brown, and this color F. So that is a significant population as well. Of course, it's in the surrounding area as well. So all these places where they have a light brown like this, a blue like this, and these red colors, reddish brown colors. That's all evidence of the Middle Eastern Semitic lineage in Asia. So maybe Israel did go to the Philippines, but there's no Y chromosomes that survived, apparently. Okay, this is Ashkenaz, Ripfath, and who's this? This is the I. This is me going right up through here like this, and then I went over to here like that. Or my ancestors did. I didn't do it, but apparently they went around and made a whole half moon circle. That the I is all, in particular my ancestry, the I1M253 makes a big half moon all the way to Spain, all the way up through here like this, as well as down here as well. But anyway, let's not zoom it in, so I'm not worried about that. And this is Meshech. Meshech is totally separate from the O paternal haplogroup. So Magog is down here, Meshech went north and stayed north, apparently. Here's another one similar to the other chart I was looking at. Okay, so we have what are the colors here? We have it just shows where they are. Okay, so this is a little bit harder to see anything, but Great Britain, yeah, I got to look at it before I got to interpolate it before I can explain it or translate it first. Anyway, this is what? This is, looks like the, is it the C? Yeah, it'll be the C paternal haplogroup. The C, and you notice it's up in this area. They're saying it started here, but it actually started here in Mesopotamia and went east. Because Nimrod was the king in the land of Shinar, went that way. This is not a great map anyway. Okay. And the Q, this is the Medes that went up into Europe. went right up in this area here, the Medes, and they're, some went this way, some went this way apparently, but they were right up in this area, the Medes, as well as in Media, which is down here, which is you have to see from another map. And the Assyrians that ran to the mountains after they went on the rampage, ran away. They also went up into Europe as well. The G, the Assyrian paternal haplogroups. Again, this is the same thing. The red are the descendants of Japheth. They went north. Semitic people are in the blue, in the middle, stayed in the middle. Lydia, Asher, Aram, Elam, Arpachshad, as we can see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have Put, Mizraim, Cush, and Canaan. And we have the 7 sons of Japheth, which be Javan. Tiraz is missing. Gomer, Togarmah. Togarmah and Ashkenaz are sons of Gomer. Madai, and Meshach, and Magog, which is not in, but you can see Medes, Madai, Medes, so it's already designated as the Medes. Okay, this is interesting because it shows the Persian Gulf here only goes up this far, but the shoreline used to come up all the way up to Ur. Ur of the Chaldees, where Abraham resided or lived with his father. Ur of the Chaldees was on the shore at the time, and that's where Nimrod's Tower of Babel is. And of course, we know about the story about the conflict between Abraham and his father and Nimrod. It happened here in this area here, and God's told Abraham, "Get out of there, go to the land of Canaan," which is what he did. So that's what happened there. And we know about Babylon. That's where all the exiles went up north this way, including the Judaic people were exiled as well. And just another map showing basically the same thing. Same thing. As I said, these are all known people. You can't deny that these are the ancient civilizations, and we can check the people today, for example, Elam, and see what their paternal haplogroup is, which is what I did with. It got me started. Okay, here's W. This is a maternal line W that's also up in this area of the Medes, which could be checked out. Okay, here's the one that has all of the. This has all of the Semitic or Middle Eastern Semitic maternal lineages here. So it's B, which would be this gray and this blue. So the blue colors and gray colors are B. So you can see it's Philippines, right? That's be the light gray. So wherever the light gray is. See, I don't like when it says others. I get very angry when it says others. I want to know what the others are. But anyways, we got the B, which is also this light blue too. So all these blues are B, which is Middle Eastern Semitic mitochondrial lineages. Then there's the F, which is the red. Red is easy to see. That's a Middle Eastern Semitic maternal lineage. And the P, which is this black area here, this black part here in this area here. This is also Middle Eastern Semitic mitochondrial lineage. So, maybe what they're saying that the Philippine people are descendants of are Israelites. Maybe they have, maybe they have a point to a certain extent. But I couldn't find any paternal lines in the Philippines, so that's why I dismissed it initially. But it explains why these European or the Middle Eastern haplogroups are in Asia. If they did migrate to the Philippines, it would explain it. Okay, the black, the red, and the blue colors, all the blue colors. They're Middle Eastern Semitic maternal lineages. Of course, this is the North Africans. This is probably descendants of Put, because he was the North African, originally called Phoenicians, but then not the later Phoenicians that were there. Okay. This is the lost tribes of Israel. You can actually see how lost they are. They're all over Europe because this is the area of the original exile, of course, of Israel, not Judah. They were exiled, of course, to Babylon. And they went up through this pass here and mixed with the steppe people, the Ashkenaz people, R1A. And they went up this way, and they're heavily concentrated in this area here, and apparently heavily concentrated in Norway and Sweden. And some parts of maybe Denmark, or this is Denmark, this is Finland or something. But anyways, they went over to England, and that's where I'm from. My ancestors are from. In Sardinia as well. Sardinia has a lot of Israelite population, because of course they went this way as well, because some of these, of course, are from the tribe of Dan. Dan was the first one that went into Europe, naming everything Danube and Denmark and all these Dan names everywhere they went. But apparently, from what they say. But of course, Dan is Israel, has a Israelite paternal line. So now this is the problem with the scientist here. I have this here because Jesus said, "You blind guides, which strain a gnat and swallow a camel." So they, in their scientific studies, they're quibbling about every little detail. Look, every little detail, and they missed the elephant in the room, or the camel in their soup, and they don't even see what the big picture is, because they're focusing on the net, trying to strain a gnat, and they end up swallowing a camel. So that's what happens when people don't take the Word of God seriously. They become foolish and make themselves look really bad, and they put their foot in their mouth. So if they had studied a little ancient history, or if they knew ancient history, or knew better to teach ancient history, then everybody, this would be common knowledge. But as it is, nobody likes truth for some reason, because the truth will lead you to God, and that's what happens. And it's sad, it's a shame, it's a waste. All this scientific study is a total waste, because they're looking at the little details, arguing, quibbling over the little details, and they're not even looking at the bigger picture. That all of the nations are the grandsons and great grandsons of Noah. So here again, Tiraz, known civilization of the Thracians. That's one. Javan, sea people. T is two. This is L. This is T. Meshech, Magog, Gomer, Tubal, Madai. That would be seven. Okay, so these are the descendants of Javan, Rodaim of the Rhodes, island Rhodes, Elisha, Kittim of Cyprus. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah are the sons of Gomer. And of course, they went up into Europe one way or another. Riphath apparently went to southern Europe. And that's why in the area of Ashkenaz, it's R1A. In the area of Riphath, it's R1B. In the area of Togarmah, it's R2. And the Q, which is of the same family, is also in many of the same places as the R. For example, in Europe, they're in Europe together, and they're in America together as well. But probably for different reasons. Because the R1B would be Riphath in America. Well, yeah, the R1A is Ashkenaz. R1B, Riphath's descendants went to America because of the association with the Phoenicians, which were basically the sea people, which included Javan, the R1B, Israel, North Africans, just basically Mediterranean people. Okay, and then, of course, we have Cush, Put, Mitzrayim, and Canaan that are the sons of Ham. Then we have Lud, Asher, Aram, Elam, and Arpachshad that are the sons of Shem. So it's all there. Nobody's missing. Everybody's present and accounted for. Everybody has their haplogroups. And of course, if you want to know who the Canaanites are, it's Arvadites, Zemarites, Archetites, Sinites, Shidonians, Amorites, Perizzites, Hittites, Hivitites, Jebusites, and Girgashites. Those are the descendants of Canaan. Okay. Now this thing here, Shinar, remember, is associated with Ham. The reason why Shinar is associated with Ham is because the king of Shinar is Nimrod, but Nimrod is the only Hamite person in the area because he's the king of the Shinar, because he was a great hunter and had many kids. He had a house of Nimrod, just like David had a house of David. Nimrod had a house of Nimrod because he had many descendants. And when they speak of Assyrians being Semitic, it's Semitic, but they also have Nimrod associated with Assyrians. But just keep in mind that Asher is Semitic and Nimrod is Hamitic. So there was some mixing going on in Assyria there, because if you ask, the historians, they're scratching their heads. They don't know if it was Semitic, if the Sumerians were Semitic, or they don't know what they were. But that's because Nimrod was the king in the land of Shinar, so it would be a mixture of Semitic people and Hamitic people that became basically the Assyrians as well. But not so much the house of Nimrod, because his seed descendants they're in this area, but not very much. And his descendants, after Nimrod was killed, his descendants were subdued for a time, and then they basically moved east. They moved out of the area, and they moved all the way to America and Australia and the Pacific Islands. So that's what happened there. There we go. We can also look at the percentages of the, we already did J2 in Italy, as well as the I. Where's the I? This is the I, the brown. So the J2 and the brown is I, brown's I. I, of course, being Israel. J2 is Judaic. K being Tubal, the original population in Italy. Okay. And that's about that. So I just about wore out that subject for Christmas. If I can figure out how to get out of here, I don't even know if I can get out of here. But anyway, sorry to ignore everybody. Let me see who we got here. Merry Christmas, Timothy, Scott, Oliver. Somebody trying to spam me. What's up, Praise? What's up, Praise? Jerome, Scott, Oliver, participating in Y-DNA project. How is mitochondrial DNA tested and interpreted? By whom? Okay. Mitochondrial DNA is, of course, the maternal line, and you just are what you are. That's basically what it is. I haven't assigned, Rebecca or Rachel as being any of the mitochondrial DNAs, but maybe sometime somebody will be able to do that. I just haven't been able to do that yet. So the H, could be Rebecca, could be Rachel, could be, whoever, Leah or somebody, whatever. But Merry Christmas, Timothy. God bless. Merry Christmas. Big okay. And Jerome. All right. So thanks for your participation, everyone, and Merry Christmas again. And I'll just go ahead and shut it down because I basically wore it out, I think. But that's my Christmas practice for the. I was supposed to have a debate today. That's the thing. I was supposed to have a debate this Thursday. tonight, but they canceled it and postponed it because they didn't realize it was Christmas or something like that. And of course, they can't be hosting a debate with their family, wanting to celebrate Christmas and everything. So it's postponed for now, but eventually I will probably be having a discussion with David Neff on this very topic here of the haplogroups being the grandsons and great grandsons of Noah. So that's about it for now. God bless everybody. Take care and stay close to God because that's what purifies you, us.